Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Red, White, and Bills. Got a little pregame show for you. I know it's Friday. Got to do a little bit sooner, though, because I got tied up with jobs for Sunday. Mike from Nickel City Mafia is going to be joining us shortly, and possibly Brett from Go Bills Podcast if he's available. Kind of let him know last minute. But hey, what's up, Baker? How you doing, buddy? Let's go Seahawks this week, right? One of the only teams playing a winning team this week. But Mike should be joining us shortly. We're going to talk some Bills and some Green Bay Packers. And preseason, this was, circled on the schedule as, this could be a Super Bowl preview, or, it's going to be cool to see Aaron Rodgers face off against Josh Allen. But both teams are in different directions right now, it seems. And obviously can't sleep on any team. It's a week-to-week league, and anything can happen. However, this Packers team is not the same Packers team that we've all grown to know. Regular season Packers team. We know the playoff Packers team that always chokes. But 15-2, yeah, that'd be cool, buddy. As long as we win it all, that's what I prefer. It's all about getting to the promised land and finally getting over that hump and getting the ring. But hey, if we can go 15-2 and win it all, that'd be sick. But yeah, just waiting for Mike, and then we'll get into the details. I don't want to start without him. So we'll see. We'll see if Brett can join. One sec. I'll send the link. Just waiting for the guys, but I think the game's going to go, Baker. You're going to show up those fraud Giants. I picked you guys to win. Well, here's Mike.
Hello.
Mike, how you doing?
Hello, sir.
Oh, you sound great now. All right. Well, just was talking to the chat a little bit, talking about how the Packers started off slow, but now that you're here, I want you to introduce yourself again for the people that don't know you.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me tonight. I always love to do collaborations with you. I'm Mike Thornton from the Nickel City Mafia YouTube channel. Jake and I do pre- and post-game shows every Sunday, or actually whenever the game is, but usually on Sundays. So come join us over there this Sunday if you have a chance. We do a live show just like Sean's doing right now, and we love the interactions. So, yeah, thanks, Sean.
Anytime. It's always a pleasure to work with all you guys. We got a good community growing over here. And my friend was bringing up, I said I don't want that Kareem Hunt and Cam Akers. No, he's not bad. It's just what I always say. We don't run enough for him to for it to be worth giving up draft picks or paying him or taking reps away from Singletary, because again, we run 90% of the time, and it's not really that we can't run, because Singletary averages about 5 yards a clip. So it's not his fault. So I'd rather just focus on other needs. And I do think teams that are primed to win a Super Bowl like us, we saw the Eagles do it. We saw the Chiefs do it. We saw the 49ers do it. They all made moves to an already good team to propel themselves above everyone else. And we never do it at the trade deadline, but we'll see this year. It's like that games with Brady. They keep saying, surely they will win soon, right? Packers stuff. Yeah, they keep hanging their hats on it. They can't. Rodgers can't lose 3 in a row. Rodgers can't lose to the Jets and the Giants and the Commanders. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they've definitely been painting that narrative, but they're about to go face a juggernaut in the Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
How are you feeling about this game?
I'm feeling good. When we started the season and we looked at the schedule, we were like, man, these first 7 games are tough, and they are tough. But when we circled the game against Green Bay Sunday night with the 2-time MVP, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, and we're like, man, this is going to be a huge, huge game. I still think it will be, but it's kind of this kind of tailed off a little bit because they're looking so bad. They're 3-4, and I do want to ask you a question, Sean, because before the season started, everyone was like, "This is a Super Bowl contending team," and I'm talking about the Packers. People were talking about the
Yeah.
Packers in that light, and I don't know how they could have been saying that because when you lose it, Devontae Adams, it's kind of like the Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill. You just can't replace that type of skilled player. Now I know their defense is good, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I think that's going to be the key if they're able to stay and win this game is that defense. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's been 2 weeks. I think the game, like I said, I wouldn't have expected us to have such a good chance like I do now because they're just looking so bad over there, man. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, the line got up to 11.5 for Buffalo. That's
That's
kind of I
crazy.
mean, we could definitely beat them by 3 scores, but that's kind of crazy to hear. Like, an Aaron Rodgers led team. But yeah, I think the talk about Super Bowl was because they put Aaron Rodgers on such a high horse, and that defense was supposed to be like, top three, just like the Chargers. Preseason everyone was like Chargers and Packers are going to have the best defense out there, and I was like, well, what did I say about the Chargers? I said on paper they're always good, but they never can get it together. And right now they got injuries anyway. So, I mean, it looks like that's going to be the same thing with them this year. It doesn't matter how much money they put in. But the Packers, apparently they're number one in the pass,
Yes, so that's
which,
what's
I was very surprised with because they've only given up less than 20 points once. And it was when the Bucks didn't have Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, and their number one receiver was Cole Beasley. So, I mean, it was interesting to see that statistic that they're number one in the pass. But beating a team that's number one in the past is just going to make the Buffalo Bills look even better when we beat them by 3 scores. So, I mean, they're going to be number one in the past before the game, but by the end of the game, they're going to be like, "What? What was that? What was that going on there?" But
I
for
love
the
that.
people that are watching, they know I like to do a who to watch section, and then I go into the keys of victory, and then we can just talk, anything else that needs to be brought up. But I'll let you go first, Mike, and let's start with the Packers. What's one of your we'll go one for one.
Okay.
We'll keep going until we run out. But who's one of your guys that you're watching on the Packers to either limit or you think they would make a difference?
Oh, it has to be Rashawn Gary, right? It has to be Rashawn Gary on the edge there. He's got 6 sacks through 7 games. He's there. I mean, he's gonna go up against Quessenberry. We already know that Spencer Brown is out, so they're gonna have to get Quessenberry a little help over there for sure. This guy's a stud. Been with the Packers for a while now. He had 9.5 sacks last year, 6 sacks this year, and he's on a pace to have well over 10 double digits. So that's my guy that I'm most worried about. And because that right tackle has been our kind of our weakest link to me on that
Oh yeah,
offensive line. So that's my first guy.
yeah, that's a great. I didn't even put. I had all offense on for my who to watch, so I'm glad you picked defense. But I mean, Rashawn Gary, he's a guy. Obviously, that was a perfect choice. He's actually questionable with it. He was in the concussion protocol, so we might not see him. But if we do see him, like you said, we're going to need a lot of help over at right tackle. And I mean, whether it was Spencer Brown or not, that right tackle has been a weak point for us. Luckily, it's not Josh's blind side, so he knows it's coming most of the time, and he can finagle out of the pocket and make a play. But yeah, Rashawn Gary. Oh no, I do have one defensive player on there, but Rashawn
Hope,
Gary,
I hope I don't
he's scary.
steal him.
He's a scary man, so
Yeah.
that's a good one. Then I'll go defense too for my first one. I got Jair Alexander, and a lot of people might think it's like Alexander against Diggs every time, but Alexander doesn't travel with the number one receiver. They stay he stays where he's at because if you remember the Vikings game, he was saying how he wanted Justin Jefferson and all this, and then he never even lined up near him. Like 85% of the time, he was always away from him. So he might line up against Diggs, but I mean, Ken Dorsey's smart. If obviously Diggs can beat Alexander if he has to, but they're going to try to match up Diggs against the weaker corner just because he's your alpha dog, elite receiver. So they'll get matchups for Diggs to get involved, and you might see some Gabe Davis on Alexander, but Alexander's a stud. He only has one interception, but he's missed a little bit of time with injury. And when he's on the field, it's a different Packers defense. and he's an All Pro talent. But honestly, with the way this offense has been playing, I'm not worried about one receiver getting blanketed because we have so many people that can step up when we need them to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had him as well. But for my next guy, I'm sticking on the defense, and this is I'm not disrespecting the Packers. Maybe I am a little bit. We kind of know there's three guys on their offense that can really hurt us, in my opinion, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But I really feel for the Packers to have any chance is that this defense, who is holding teams, check this out, Sean. I mean, they're holding the passing yards to 168.9 per game. Number one, that's freaking good in the NFL
Yeah,
in today's game to hold teams under 200, 168, and they're
that's
going
insane.
against. It's crazy. They're going against the best passing team, so that's going to be a great battle. But I wanted to say Devondre Campbell, their middle linebacker, guy's a great cover linebacker, and he's been playing really really well this year. And I think again they're going to need all the cover guys they can get to handle this Bills offense, and that's why I'm focusing on the defense here with these key players to watch.
Yeah, no, that's another good point because, like you said, their offense. I mean, yeah, you got Aaron Rodgers, but there's no way that this offense, when can go toe to toe with the Bills. So the defense does definitely have to make some plays. The next guy I had on here, he's actually been ruled out today. I had the notes like 2 days ago, but Alan Lazard is out,
Yeah,
and he was probably he's their veteran presence. He's their guy, but obviously since he's not there, I'm going to go with Tunyon. He's one of the other guys I had on here. He's 30 for 251 in the touchdown so far this year. Not insane numbers, but he's not a George Kittle or a Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, but he's a reliable target for Rodgers. He was last year until he got hurt. I forgot what his injury was last year, but he missed significant time. But I mean, your best friend when you always see rookie quarterback's best friend is a tight end, but when you're Rodgers and your offensive line is struggling and you can't trust your rookie receivers, his best friend's going to be your tight end. So I got Robert Tunyon. He's a good athlete, but I mean we got really really good cover linebackers, so it'll be tough for him. But Robert Tunyon's one of my offensive guys that I got.
yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, he's the most he's been playing with when you look at who they're going to put out on the field with the receivers and tight end. He's the most comfortable with Rodgers. He's been there the longest with Rodgers, and yeah, so that's an excellent pick. I wanted to say that on the offensive side for them, obviously we know they have Aaron Jones and they have AJ Dillon and they have Rodgers. Those are the three guys I was talking about, and they have your favorite guy. I think it was your favorite guy back in the day, Mr. Sammy Watkins. Tell me what you feel. How did you feel when Sammy was on a team? Do you have a jersey in the closet?
Oh
And
heck no.
what do you think of him these days?
I mean, he just I don't know. I felt like he was just a letdown in Buffalo, and then when McDermott got there, you know what happened. He was like, oh, Sammy was going out getting drunk and partying and doing whatever during the season, and McDermott didn't like that, and he's like, oh, he wouldn't let me do that crap, so I didn't want to be there no more. And of course, Kansas City picks him up because Kansas City picks up all the people that are degenerates like that, and they don't care, like Kadarius Toney and whatever. But he's he can make some plays, but I mean he was never as advertised, and I wouldn't be worried about him if he lined up in any of our corners. So I mean he might get a Bills homecoming, but I don't think anyone will be going crazy for him like we could have went for Tyrod Taylor last year, which was upsetting because he got hurt right before that the Texans game, and we didn't get to bring him home and give him some love for breaking the drought. But yeah, Sammy Watkins, I was never a big fan of his, and he kind of left on a sour note. So kind of like
Yeah.
Gilmore.
Yeah, he showed some early promise, but then he moved on and hasn't done anything anywhere else. He can't stay healthy. He started having that problem in Buffalo as well. Couldn't stay healthy, but it just goes. I mean, look at the starting receiver core. I don't know if you have their depth chart in front of you, Sean, but I mean, you got was it Christian Watson? I
Christian
believe
Watson, he's questionable too.
right. Questionable. He's their draft choice from this year. You got Sammy Watkins, and who's the other gentleman? I'm forgetting.
Romeo Dobbs. He's been pretty consistent. He's dropped a couple passes, but I mean, I think he had 1 or 2 games where he had over 8 catches. So, I mean, he's gonna have problems. People were comparing him to Devontae Adams, saying, "Oh, he's basically what Devontae Adams is doing." I'm like, come on, but I mean, he's definitely got promise. But I mean, Rodgers just seems like he's not. Like I had Rodgers and Jones and Dillon too, but even those games, like the last 3, if you watch, like Jones is always a factor, but him and Dillon they can't generate enough offense for them to win these games. You know, the Giants have a terrible offense. They rely heavily on Saquon. They have 0 receivers. Their number 1 tight end got hurt, and Daniel Jones is he's more of a you see what Daboll did it last year with Josh Allen. He wanted to run him into the ground and all these design runs, and he does the same thing with Daniel Jones. So, I mean, their offense is, like that, and the Jets offense is heavily relying on the run. They don't have a good passing offense. They don't trust Zach Wilson. So, I mean, they just can't, even with that, they can't keep up offensively. Even the Commanders, they had Taylor Heineke leading the way, and they just can't stay in these games for some reason. And, obviously you can't write off, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They're good catching backs. A.J. Dillon's huge. He's like built like like Matt Milano. So, I mean, he's a hard guy to get down. He can run between the tackles. He's not as much of a catching back as Aaron Jones, but I mean, Aaron Jones can go out and run routes, run the whole route tree. So he's a guy to definitely keep an eye on. But I mean, Rodgers, he's slow now. He's just under constant duress. Like he doesn't seem comfortable at all. And you saw in that Jets game, they could barely even get they could barely get a first down because of how relentless the defensive line was. And, they got Quentin Williams and, Jermaine Johnson and Carl Lawson and all these people coming off the edge. But I still, even though they're a top unit, I still think our defensive line is better, and we generate more pressures and sacks. So I think that's, it's going to be another similar game for Rodgers and the Pack offensively.
Yeah, I mean, this is by far the best defensive team they're facing, and Rodgers, that's you hit it on right on the head there. It is his offensive line. It's not giving him any time. He can't trust his offensive line. I was listening to a show where they said he was getting rid of the ball in like 2 seconds. The guy has to throw everything short. So that guy, when there's going to be a lot of screens, there's going to be a lot of short passes. He's not going to have time to throw the deep ball, and that's been part of the problem this year. Is he just doesn't have time to sit back there at all, and of course he doesn't have a Devontae Adams to scare that defense. Yeah. So that offensive line, man, I'll tell you what they have. I always say this guy's name wrong. David Bakhtiari.
Yeah,
I hope I said it right.
I think that's right.
Offensive tackle, he's questionable for them. He's big for them. They need him there. And, of course, he hasn't been healthy most of the year. So they've really struggled. And I think it's going to – I mean, my gosh, when you consider what the Bills have been able to do against better offensive lines, it's I don't see things change. I don't see this changing for Rodgers, like you said, at all.
Yeah, even with Bakhtiari, I mean – he had it wasn't just the ACL, I don't think. He had like a gruesome knee injury where I think he had torn like every single ligament, and like it was just insane. And even when he's back now, he hasn't been the best left tackle in the league like he was before the injury. So I still think Von Miller will be able to work him, and whoever lines up on him. But I mean, it's going to be rough for that Packers O-line if we play like we play. And I think if you go up against this team by 2 scores, I really don't see them being able to make a comeback, even with Rodgers. Because, I mean, I said this before you came on. People have to understand, yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer without a doubt. But this isn't the same Packers team. This isn't the Packers team that, they're the best regular season team in the last decade. They go 14-3 or 13-4 every year, win all the divisions, and, then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. This isn't the same team that can do that. Yeah, they could come out and play a great game and it could be close, but the way the Buffalo Bills are playing, coming off of a bye, Oh, hold on. Brett said he's here, so I'm gonna drop the link for you, Brett, so you could join. Glad you got my message. We're just about to head into the Bills, um, but yeah, Mike. I mean, this just isn't the same Packers team, and I don't think that's being disrespectful to them. I think even the Packers faithful understands this isn't the same Packers team. And I'm wondering here. I brought it up to a couple other people I talked to. Do you think it's time if the Packers lose this game? Do you think it's time for them to start selling some people for draft capital so they can build around Jordan Love? Because if Aaron Rodgers can't produce offense with these wide receivers and this offensive line, what do they expect their first round draft pick to do?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sean. I don't know. As a fan, you never want to hear that. Like if you're a Packer fan, no, you don't want to hear that. And to be honest, I mean, let's say they lose this game, right? What are they right now? They're 3-4, and they drop
Yeah,
to 3-5.
you're
They're
right because the NFC is like,
correct.
I
That's
mean,
what I was.
they're what was it the South with the Panthers. The first place in the division is 3-4 right now.
Yep,
The
yep.
Bucks are 3-5. The Panthers can still win the division, and they're two and
Ex-
five. So
exactly. That's what
I
I was
mean,
getting to is that the NFC, 3-5 is by far not out of it. You're not far out of a playoff
yeah,
spot
that's a good point.
by any means. So I would say no, not at this point.
But when you that's a good point. But I'm just thinking of like they drafted Jordan Love for a reason. I think he's going into year three next year. Next year, right? It'll be year three
Hmm.
for him.
Yep.
And then he's on year four. Rodgers still has next year with the Packers. So his you're gonna have to take his 5th-year option, and you never seen him play in the regular season. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking of like the future of the Packers. Rodgers has an insane deal. He's not getting it done. Could he turn it around? Yeah, but if your future is Jordan Love, they got to start thinking like we got to get some pieces. We got to get some. There's a lot of money invested in Rodgers, and I mean, is it worth? Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, you stay with the team for so long, but we're losing record in 2022, and then next year we're gonna have a losing record too. Is it worth wasting Jordan Love's potential for to keep him another year when he's been wanting to retire since last year?
I know he says that, but yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, they could wait to the. I mean, could they do a deal with Rodgers in the offseason and trade him away and keep? They're going to have to soak up some of that money, obviously, but you know, that seems to be. I think it's too early to jump ship right now, so I don't think anything happens to the offseason.
That's a fair assessment, and like you said, even in the AFC, the Raiders are 2-4, and they still got a shot. I mean, it's basically the Chiefs and the Bills, and then a
Yeah,
bunch of middle of the pack teams, that are like, I mean, the Jets are 5-2, so they're not technically middle of the pack, but we still got to see what they do against teams like Buffalo and New England, where you're going to have to pass the ball. Because yeah, the Patriots are 3-4, but they always take away your best weapon and your best strength. They're gonna, even though they're not the best at defending the run this year, they're gonna figure out how to stop the run, and they're gonna make Zach Wilson try to beat you. And that's my only knock on the Jets and the Giants is I know we're getting off topic before we get. I'm just waiting for Brett to join, but yeah, my friend says without Hall too. Yeah, Michael Carter, he's still good, but Brees Hall was just. I mean, he was just a different animal on that team. Here's Brett, so we'll bring him in and we'll get off the Jets and the Giants topic.
just a quick FYI, they did sign James Robinson. It was a nice move
Yeah,
for them.
that was a good move.
Yeah,
He wasn't being utilized in Jacksonville, and he could definitely be utilized in New Jersey. Brett, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. How's everybody doing today?
Great. Thanks for joining us such late notice. I'm sorry about that. I just was like, Mike brought it up. He said, hey, where's Brett? I'm like, I didn't even ask him today. Let me ask him if he wants to join. So
No problem, guys. Yeah, I was taking my dog out, so I had to take a couple extra minutes. I apologize about that.
Oh, no, you're perfectly fine. So we just finished talking about who to watch in the Packers game. And was there anybody that from the Packers that you've been, worried about or you think could give the Bills a little bit of trouble on offense or defense before we transition to the Bills?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think that Aaron Jones is going to be the player for me I'm most worried about, especially as a pass catcher out of the backfield. I would say I'm worried about him just because, I know that they utilize him in certain aspects, but I'm more worried about him getting one-on-one up against like Tremaine Edmonds or Matt Milano. I know we've had some struggles in the past where we struggled with having players wrap up tackles and stuff like that. So I'm kind of worried about that, but I do think that we're going to be okay in this game. I think that, especially in the Bills running game, we've only allowed 457 yards this season through 6 games. So that's pretty good stats. So, I mean, that's 100 less than other players or other teams. So I'm not really worried about the run game. I'm more worried about the pass catching out of the backfield.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hey, for the people tuning in now, if you haven't subscribed to any 3 of the channels, Nickel City Mafia, Go Bills Podcast, they do amazing job over there. Go show them some love. We like to collab a lot. Like and share this video out. Go show some love on their channels. And thank you guys for watching. And anyone else, Brett? Aaron Jones, yeah, he's definitely, a deadly player to have. And he's very quick. He's strong. He doesn't look like he's a big guy, but he plays big. So we both, Mike and I, we both think Aaron Jones is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the other player on the in the wide receiver room that I'm more worried about is going to be Watson going up against one of the rookies. I'm not really concerned about it. I just think it's going to be a good matchup to see. I think Watson's a really good receiver, especially as a rookie. I'd like to see, is Kyer going to be playing press coverage, or is he going to be playing off like he did last week in the beginning of the game against the Kansas City Chiefs? So I'm kind of concerned of what we're going to see out of him, but I think that he'll be ready for the challenge for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point, because Watson, he is very talented. He hasn't really come to his form yet in the NFL. And, it's kind of hard when you're trying to make, your best effort. You're trying to contribute to your team. And you got a guy like Aaron Rodgers that's like, yeah, I mean, you can't catch a ball. You shouldn't be playing on the team. You're trash. You're garbage. Like, sometimes that works for people. And in Aaron Rodgers' age, 38, 39, that's like the attitude, like the hard love. But like when you're, young kid like Watson, that might not necessarily work with you. That might actually make you feel, like you're not, an asset to the team. And then you get, in your own head, and you start messing up. That drop, he had that beautiful route. He dropped the touchdown week 1, I think it was, against the Vikings. And ever since then, Rodgers has just been lighting up his teammates, not taking any responsibility for himself. Just like, oh, these guys can't play. We got to simplify the offense. But Watson, he's very talented, and I think he'll be a great receiver in this league. So I like that you mentioned that matchup, because, yeah, he hasn't been lighting up the world, but he can still bring it anytime. So I actually like that one a lot. Yeah,
I agree too. And I think, Brett, to your point, I think, it's not the norm for the Bills, but you might see some press coverage, because we were talking before you joined, Rodgers is getting the ball out quick, screen plays, quick passes off the line of scrimmage, and you might see some press coverage. And who is very good at press coverage in his college career? Mr. Kyer Elam. So I think you might see some of that. Maybe not. I mean, the Bills always like to stay in their schemes, but with Rodgers, they're going to be ready for it. If you watch any of the games, Rodgers getting the ball out in like 2 seconds. He's throwing out to the flats. He's just throwing off the line, and he doesn't have time to drop back and throw anything deep. So we might see some of that press coverage you're talking about.
Yeah, I definitely think we will. I don't think this is going to be a game where we're going to have a ton of sacks in the game. So I do think that the coverage is going to have to be really good on the outside in order for us to stay in the game. So hopefully we do see more of that press coverage. And if not, there is help over the top with Jordan Poyer as well as with Damar Hamlin.
Yeah,
I agree. I love that. Love that for sure. You got anyone else from the Packers that you wanted to highlight, or are you ready to go into the good old lovable Buffalo Bills?
Let's go with the lovable Buffalo Bills. That's what I'm here to talk about, guys.
By the way, I just want to say thank you, Brett, for wearing the Bills jersey. I actually felt bad. I was running late. I'm like, damn it, I don't have a Bills jersey. I know Sean's going to wear one, and Sean's not wearing one either. What's going on, man?
No, I always do them for the post. I was saving for the post.
I always see you. Okay, I always see you wear them.
I'm dressing up as Josh Allen tomorrow for a Halloween party, just because
awesome.
I was like, well, I got the jersey, I got some Bills track pants. I mean, I know he doesn't wear eye black, but I could put like my wife's makeup under my eye and look like a football player, just so I don't have to go out and spend money. And maybe I can take a picture and then tag him in it and send it to him, see if he acknowledges it. Because I mean, Deion Dawkins has acknowledged some of my posts that I posted of him.
Really?
I bought he had these sweatshirts made where remember he was like talking about stirring up the macaroni and cheese. Chef Dawkins. I got a hoodie with all that on there, and it says like all of his little phrases and everything. And I go to the gym and I'll take a picture and I'll tag Deion Dawkins in it, and he'll always view it. So it's like, oh, that's so cool. So maybe Josh will notice it. But I'll start it off with something easy, and then I'll let you guys do what you do. Well, I'm gonna say one of my who to watch section. This is a who to watch section, Brett. I know you watched before, but for the people that are watching now, this is who to watch. We're on the Buffalo Bills. As I mentioned previously before you joined, Brett, the Packers' offensive line is just decimated with injury, and they're just not clicking at all this year. So I know you mentioned we might not get a lot of sacks, and I could agree with that too. But the key is to get the constant pressure. So yeah, we might not get the sack numbers, but if he's getting the ball out quick, if we're still in his face, it's going to rattle him. And we saw against the Jets, he's not mobile. So if you get to him and they're not doing quick passes, you have he's not going to juke you out like Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes. So I mean, his D line, they've been phenomenal all year, A+ grade. So my first who to watch was the D line against the Packers O line.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sean. That's a great point in that case. I think that this is going to be a game where getting the interior pressure is going to be very important. So I'd like to see Daquan Jones as well as Ed Oliver getting some interior pressure, while also having Von Miller and Greg Russo on the outside, containing the outside so that Aaron Rodgers cannot escape to the left or right. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Buffalo is getting that constant pressure on Aaron Rodgers so that he doesn't have the quick passes that he can make, and possibly even moving Greg Russo around. I know he likes to line up. Usually he's on the right side, but move him around a little bit more and see what he can do.
Yeah, I like that. And we're really good at putting guys in different spots in the line, and they always perform. Like you can even put Greg Rousseau on the inside of D tackle.
Yeah.
And he can make some noise. You could put Boogie on the outside. Jordan Phillips, you could put him on the end. We got such a versatile D line that put him anywhere and they'll make plays.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I'll let you go first before Mike. Brett, what's one of your guys that you're watching on Buffalo?
I think the biggest matchup I'm going to watch is Jair Alexander on Stephon Diggs. I don't think anybody right now can stop Stephon Diggs, but I really like this matchup. I think that Buffalo is going to have a lot of success, and I think there's going to be a lot of plays that are going to be contested balls. So hopefully those 50-50 balls Diggs will come down with, and I think that's going to be the best matchup. And then I'm also looking forward to the run game of Buffalo going up against the defensive line of the Packers. So I want to see what we can do. I know that we've struggled in the first couple of games with the Aaron Cromer offensive line and getting the run game established, but it's coming along a little bit slowly but surely. So I want to see what the run game can do, and hopefully Singletary can get some big carries and go over 100 yards for, I think that would be the first time this year.
Yeah, and it would be. So I actually, since you mentioned the run game, I had Motor on here, so I'm just going to put a couple little things out there that I had on him before Mike goes. But this year, Motor has 7 runs that are 10 yards or more. So, I mean, he's explosive. He also added 22 receptions out of 24 targets for 167 yards. And his best game was last week against Kansas City with 85 yards on 17 carries. So that's why I'm always like, we don't really need to free agent, to go pick up all of these running backs at the trade deadline. That's the least of our worries to build upon going into our Super Bowl run is another running back, because when you give Singletary more than 6, I don't know why they don't like Singletary, why they always want to go get a new running back, but give him more than 6 carries, he performs every time. He's actually, his career yards per carry is 4.7, almost 5 yards a carry. That's phenomenal. I mean, you're basically getting a first down every 3 plays. So, I mean, he's just I don't know. I don't know why people sleep on him. I don't know why it seems like the Bills always want a new running back when we don't run enough as it is. When we could add maybe a right tackle or a guard or another wide receiver or another cornerback for depth going into the playoffs. But I just wanted to mention that because you mentioned the run game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on what you're saying about Singletary. I think Singletary is the best running back that we have on the team. I think, you know, going into the contract season and everything, hopefully we can bring him back next year. But you have to look forward, and I do think that being in the market for another running back, I like, especially so that we can have somebody that can be the 1-2 punch. I know we're trying to get James Cook involved, but he's had that rookie wall a little bit. So hopefully we can get it fixed. And later down the road, I know he's learning the playbook. It's tough, especially in your rookie year. I mean, I think he's going to be a good running back for us, but Zach Moss has struggled as well. So hopefully we can get this figured out and we can get that 1-2 punch like we had before when we had Shady and we had Mike Tolbert, or you can even say when we had Frank Gore and we had Devin Singletary. I hope we can get back to that.
Yeah, definitely possible. All right, Big Mike, who's one of your guys to watch on the Buffalo Bills?
All right. I did want to mention something. You were talking about Rodgers and getting the pressure on him. If I told you Aaron Rodgers has only rushed for 9 yards through 7 games, would you think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he's rushed for in 7 games, 9 yards. So to me, Bills don't have to worry about, like, it's not like Mahomes. I got to contain Mahomes. Mahomes can get away from us and extend the play. Rodgers is kind of, I mean, maybe it's because he's getting up there in age, pocket passer, pressure him. So, and I think we'll be just fine. So for me, you guys were talking about the running back situation. I have 2 guys, but I think we're going one at a time. Is that how we're doing it, Sean?
Yeah, you're up.
All right, so one at a time here. I am going to say James Cook, and I'm going to take a lead from one of the guys on our channel, Chris Caldwell. He does the fantasy football show, and he strongly believes that because of the a healthy scratch from Zach Moss last week, and with the bye week, this is the time to get James Cook going. I mean, if you're going to use we put a 2nd-round pick on this guy, and let's go. Let's get him involved. I want to see this guy, not so much for his running. You know I love Motor, and I have a bet with Jake that Motor's going to have more yards than Cook. But I want to see Cook used in that passing game. This is all the hype we heard. He's got great hands, but we haven't seen that much, right? He's rushed when he's in, when the game's gotten out of hand a few times. He's been in there, got his first touchdown, which was fantastic. But I want to see more, and I think maybe this is the week that we get him started. More times back, some more touches and out of the backfield. I think that would be huge if we can get this guy the ball, in the passing game. Let's go.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. I mean, it stinks when you got early draft picks that aren't really getting much playing time because it feels like you wasted, the early, the day 1, day 2 pick on, someone who's not really playing. But I think it's a great point Chris made that, with benching Moss and then going to the bye, maybe they're going to go off of him and then just ride with James Cook the rest of the year and then see what happens with Moss. But I mean, it'd be awesome to start adding him in there for the dynamic of, you could because Singletary can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So like people won't be expecting, all James Cook can do is catch the ball, so it's going to be a passing play right now. So if you can get Cook in there running and passing, it'll be nothing but beneficial to us because we've seen he played again in garbage time and made some nice runs, but he's got it in him. And I know you probably think the same way, Brett. You want to see Cook get some more touches.
Oh, definitely. I know he only has 19 on the season. So, I mean, if I had to compare him to another running back in his rookie year, I'm comparing him to Derrick Henry in his rookie year. Henry wasn't a big-name running back his first year. He only had 490 yards in his first season. So I think that we're going to see more out of him towards the end of the season, especially when defensive linemen and linebackers start to get a little bit more tired, and his legs are going to be fresh. So hopefully we can see a little bit more out of him, and he has longer runs, and we use him when playoffs really count. And that's when I want to see him become hot.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, just thinking like the potential that he has is just awesome. I mean, You see his brother out there, and they're going to have a brother reunion, Vikings Bills coming up.
Yep.
So that's going to be cool. But I mean, I definitely, you guys know me. I'm really big on. I want these young guys to get playing time, and it was frustrating watching Epinesa ride the bench most of the time in his rookie year. watching Boogie ride the bench most of the time. Luckily, Rousseau didn't have to do that. I mean, I would have been furious if they decided to do the same thing with him, but I was like, there's no way they're going to do that. But, I mean, Elam was benched basically the first game of the year. They went with Benford, but I mean, Benford was a rookie too. So, I mean, that kind of a wash right there. Yeah. But I want to see these young guys get the repetitions because nothing beats game repetition. You could do all. They said that about Trey White. You could practice all you want, but you gotta get game reps. So when Trey White comes back, you gotta see how he is in the field to dictate how how he's gonna go in the playing. So playing on the field. But
can I have one additional note there, Sean?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so one additional note on that is we already said that the Packers have the best pass coverage, right? Defense. They're only giving up 168 yards. However, they have the 27th overall against the rush. They're giving up almost 140 yards. Now, we always say we're not a running game, but if there's an opportunity to run, this is a game to possibly do it, especially when you're going against the top-rated defensive team against the pass. So we'll see. I think both Singletary, we know Singletary can run. Just give him the ball. The guy's averaging what was it? 4.5 yards per carry? Yeah. Something like that. That's fantastic. Year, yeah. I mean, come on. All right. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Talk all you want. That's what we're here for, man. That's what we're here for. So my next one is McDermott. He's 5-0 off the bye. And I know, I mean, people think like when you come off a bye, you might be a little bit slow. And, I saw someone say that they don't think Josh Allen's going to get above 250 passing yards and Diggs won't get more than 80 receiving yards, for a prop bet. And I'm just like, this isn't like, why are you thinking like that? Like, how are you going to win a game when your best two guys aren't producing? And, McDermott is very good on getting the guys focused. He's very good on his game plan, and they're practicing before each game, especially bye weeks. And, that's why he's 5-0 off the bye. You saw the Sean McVay. He's never had a losing record. You know what I mean? So when we played him week 1 and we beat him, that was like a crazy thing that everyone thought like, wow, not only did you beat the champs, but you beat Sean McVay when he's never had a losing record. So, coming off the bye 5-0, that's just a testament to McDermott's game plans and coaching and how he gets the guys ready to play. And, they're not going to take teams. They never take teams lightly. And this isn't the same Bills as last year who they may lose those close games or, it seems like they took a team for granted. They know the last 2 years that, AFC Championship, heartbreaking loss in the divisional round. They know that this team is capable of making it all the way and hoisting the Lombardi. So I've never seen the Bills this focused that I've seen them this year. So I expect McDermott and the Bills to be 6-0 off the bye in the McDermott era. And, he's not a player, but he's a pivotal. Him and Leslie Frazier, they're all the coaching staff that we got. They're all pivotal in the success of the Buffalo Bills. So got to show the coaches some love.
Love it.
So one thing I was going to add to that is the Bills are 5-0 coming off of the bye in the McDermott era, but Aaron Rodgers is 12-0 in primetime games in his career. So somewhere along the line, somebody's going to lose and have one loss on the record. So
he's only played 12 primetime games in his career?
Only on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, Sunday Night Football. I was going to say, damn, he's only played 12. That's crazy.
Yeah, only on Sunday Night Football. So, I mean, it could very well be, Aaron Rodgers that gets that loss. So hopefully it is, and I think we're going to be 6-0 when it comes down to it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that stat about him. I know he mentioned something about playing. They played pretty good in prime time the last 12 times. I guess I thought he meant like all primetime games put together. I didn't know he was talking about Sunday night, but yeah, he's going to be disappointed. He's going to feel that Bills Mafia crowd going crazy on Sunday night. Yeah. And you guys got your winner from the giveaway might go into that game, right? So
yes, we do. So that's
they'll be going crazy.
And Rodgers' first time ever a double-digit dog in a game. So a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts going to happen.
The Packers never beat the Bills in Buffalo.
That's correct. 0-6.
Yeah, and this is the first time since 2007 that fans will be allowed into the game for a Sunday Night Football game in Buffalo.
Wow, a lot of craziness.
A lot of firsts. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. I wish I could be up there. I wish I could be tailgating with Bills Mafia, but I'm looking forward to it, and it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, I'm dying to go to a night game.
Oh
But
man,
yeah. So, Mike, you want to go first this time? You got another Bills player you focused on?
Oh man, yes I do. I have so many. It's just a hard
Yeah.
decision.
It's always hard to pick.
I'm round robin here. Um, since I've been talking so much on the defense, and if you guys don't touch, I'll let after I say this guy, and when you talk, I'll have some honorary mentions. But for me, it's the guy who had the game winner last week, Mr. Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox. There's a reason why we're struggling in the red zone, and we're not using Dawson Knox enough in the red zone. So we need to utilize him more, and that's a guy that I want to watch. I want to see him continue off that, that huge game. He didn't have a ton of passes or catches, but he caught the most important one at the end of the game, and I hope that just propels him. I know he's been going through a lot this season. We talked about it last week, and this is a guy that in the red zone should be able to take advantage of almost anybody. So that's my guy there on offense.
I love that, Mike. I had Knox written down too. Great minds think alike, and he's got like Brett mentioned in our last show when we did it all together. He's got a heavy heart all season. Losing his brother and trying to perform constantly at a high level with all that weighing on you. I gotta give him all the credit in the world. But he's a player, and when we drafted him, I think he had like 4 catches in his whole collegiate career at Ole Miss, and then he's over here, balling out for Buffalo, trucking people over, and stiff arming people, making crazy catches. He's a huge part to this offense, and he hasn't had the touchdown numbers he had last year yet, but I mean it's only a matter of time before he's the guy that the Buffalo Bills are keying on constantly on the offense and trying to get design plays for him to be open and giving him open space, getting some tight end screens with Dawson Knox. I mean that's scary having him run at you and full speed. So I love that for sure. How about you, Brett? Who's your next pick?
I got to say Isaiah McKenzie. I think, especially after a game that he wants to forget about, I think having a fresh start, getting off of the bye, nobody's really going to be talking about him. He's got another week after the concussion. So hopefully he can be back to where he was the past couple of games. He was the player that I've been talking about, especially on the fantasy football shows that we've been doing, getting him in your fantasy lineup. So he's a deep sleeper for me in fantasy football. So hopefully he has a bounce back game and we can see what we've seen from him over the past 5 games and we can forget about the 6th game.
Yeah, it's funny. I picked McKenzie too, so we're all on the same page tonight. And I mean, like you said, he had a rough game, and he's actually when you take Motor out of the equation because he's a running back, he's our second leading receiver on the team as far as receptions go. So Josh trusts him. He's a big part to the offense. He took a friendly deal to stay in Buffalo. We've seen what he can do on the field, and obviously we think that last game was an anomaly. So I expect him big things, of course, this week. But it's really funny how we're all picking, you guys are all picking the things I was thinking of. So that's what working together does. It keeps you on the same wavelength.
Yep.
The only thing I say about that is I'm wanting to see another rookie, and that's Khalil Shakir, right? Yeah. And I think I'd like to see him a little more. So I don't know what that means for McKenzie. I agree with you. I love McKenzie. I think up until last game, up until that concussion, and that's a scary thing to get. And it just felt like he was still a little concerned. I mean, especially when he knew there was guys potentially coming at him on some of those pass routes.
Yeah.
And it's scary. So I don't know. I think I'm with you guys, but I do think Khalil will sneak in there for a few more snaps than he normally gets in the slot.
Well, I'm actually interested because I love Shakir, but I saw Kumro's back. So is Shakir's snap count even going to be active? Or is he going to have a smaller snap count because Kumro's back? You know how I feel about that. I know Kumro can make some plays, but I'd rather have Shakir, out there, as a young rookie with so much more prop. Kumro's at a ceiling, you know what I mean? And that's all what it really is. Shakir's ceiling is way higher than what Kumro's is. So I want Kumro there, we got to bring 6 receivers. Is my point. We always bring 5, and it's always bitten us in the ass every week. Someone gets hurt, or something happens where you got to leave them on the field the whole time, and nobody can rest, and then you get cramped up. So I want 6 receivers, and I want Shakir out there, and I want if they decide Kumaro. I mean, I'm just kind of bummed Hodgins didn't get much of a fair shake in his brief moments being on the roster. So we'll see what happens when it comes game time, what they decide to do, who's going to be the active or the inactive guy. But I definitely think Shakir has earned valuable PT. So I'm with you, Mike. Hopefully they give it to him. You got any more people, Brett, you want to mention for Buffalo?
Who is that for?
For you, do you have another key player you wanna focus on watching, or you guys ready to go into the keys to victory?
I think the keys to victory. If I'm good, I mean, Mike, are you good?
I just had a couple honorable mentions. Like,
of course, yeah.
It was a toss up for me. Like, okay, Taron Johnson, again, a hero from last week. A hero. Oh, yeah. The guy makes big plays. I love Taron Johnson. I think he's going to be big in run support this week. And he's going to be up for the task. I mean, he's going to get, they're going to dump those screen plays off to Dylan and Aaron Jones. And Taron Johnson's going to be up for the task, as well as Milano. I also had Milano out there. Milano's just been spectacular. And he's going to take away the one guy that you mentioned for the Packers, Sean. I think he's going to take Tanyan out of there. And it's going to be, I don't say a walk in the park, but you do that. You take Tanyan out of the picture. You Taron Johnson support on the run support. Damar Hamlin, we know he plays great on run support. I just don't see a path for these guys. For the Packers offense, it's going to have to be on their defense. Those were my honorable mentions, by the way.
No, those are both great choices. I mean, like you said, Taron Johnson's a magnet. He always makes a big play when we need it. And Milano's just been, top of his craft, throughout the whole season. So definitely can't go wrong with that. I do got to ask you guys before we move on a quick question. Would you trade? This is obviously hypothetical. Trade up Edmonds for Roquan Smith. Straight up. And Roquan Smith is the same age as Edmonds, I think. And he already has 78 tackles in 7 games. He's on pace for over 150 tackles. And, Edmonds missed a game. And, I know our scheme's different. He's got 20-something. He gets 100 every year. But this Roquan Smith, if you watch him play, we've been forced to watch Bears primetime games, unfortunately. And this guy is just – I mean, he's just the makeup, man. I mean, he's so incredibly talented. And, of course, Edmonds is too. But I was just thinking of it like, would people do that trade? I mean, obviously it's never going to happen, and Edmonds is going to be our guy. But I was just curious driving home from work today. I was like, damn, that Roquan Smith, man, he's just out of this world. So you're obviously hypothetical, but Mike, I'll ask you first. Would you trade straight up Trey Edmonds for Roquan Smith?
All right, so Sean, you got to give me a little more information. I've seen him on primetime. I don't follow him a lot, but I have to ask you a couple more questions. I've seen him; he's good. But what year is he in? Is he? We know that Edmonds is in a contract year this year, so we know he's going to get paid a lot of money. What's the situation with?
I actually don't know his contract situation, to be honest with you, but I can imagine it's. If you got it pulled up, Brett, I mean, he's got to be close to needing an extension. So.
Yep, you're exactly right, guys. So he's on his 5th-year deal right now. He has a $9.7 million contract that just got picked up. That was picked up in May of last year. So his contract, I mean, it looks like he's going to be becoming a free agent. So possibly,
so they got drafted the same. They got drafted the same year then.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe
5. So
yep.
He might even, if he's on that pace that you're talking about, Sean, he's probably going to command more money possibly than Edmonds.
Yeah.
So
but that's the thing. It's like, do the Bears? Obviously, we're not going to trade for. I mean, there's no way in hell we're going to trade for him. Right. But like. The Bears, they're not. I mean, I know you said the NFC. You mentioned the NFC's terrible, so a 3-4 team has a chance. The Bears are 3-4, but they got rid of Robert Quinn, who's an insane pass rusher, and then Roquan Smith, poor guy, was crying in an interview because he found out during the interview that they traded him. So this guy, he's passionate, he loves his team, but do the Bears think about, can you afford to re-sign him, or do you think they need to trade him at this deadline? Because if you wait till the end of the year and you don't pay him, you get zilch for him. So you're not going to get any draft picks, no nothing. Or do you trade him by the deadline and get maybe 2 first-round picks or get something? Because if you're not going to plan on signing him for that massive contract extension, you're not going to get anything for him if you wait till the end of the season. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I mean, obviously, you know, we know Edmonds is that guy, but I just thought like this guy is just out of this world.
So for me, just to finish up your question there from me, I'd say no. I'd say only because, like you said, it's almost like from a monetary standpoint, it's a wash. You're going to take on Milano, and like you said, we'd probably, based on the numbers, we'd probably have to give some nice draft picks for them, at least one decent one. I don't think it'd be a 1-for-1, because why would you do that? Why would you do a 1-for-1? You have to get something.
That's why I was just
right?
like, if you could pick player for player, would you?
And I'm going to say, because I haven't watched him enough as well, I can't give a real fair assessment. So I'm going to say no.
All right. What about you, Brett? Obviously, I mean, I don't think they would ever trade that anyway. But in your fantasy, in my fantasy land, or
fantasy land,
would you take that 1-for-1 trade? Money's not a thing. You know, contracts aren't a thing. But if you could pick one of those 2 linebackers for the Buffalo Bills, who would you pick?
So I got to ask you before this. I don't know what you ate before the show or something, but I mean, I got to get some of what you had, man. Because I apologize. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
My bad, guys. Sorry about that. My fiance is calling me. She's on her way home, so I apologize about that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't take the trade if I was Buffalo. I mean, I would pick up the phone, talk about it a little bit, but I think that's too big of an asking price for what Buffalo has coming forward. I think that the best days are going to be ahead of Tremaine Edmonds, and he's a focal point of this defense for us. He is somebody that, you know, is only 23, 24 years old. So, you know, he has, you know, another 14 years left on his deal.
Crazy.
So, I mean, it's so young. So I wouldn't take the deal. And, you know, what happens, you know, we've seen it happen before where guys come from Buffalo, especially linebackers. You can look at Takeo Spikes. You can look at London Fletcher. You can look at Paul Puslowski. I mean, there's so many good linebackers that were in Buffalo, and then they left Buffalo, and they had a good career wherever they went. So I wouldn't take the trade. And there's another guy I can think of is Brandon Spikes. You know, as much as he wasn't as good as the other guys that I mentioned, you know, and he's another guy that I can think of in recent memory that, you know, I wish we would have kept him around a little bit longer. So no, I wouldn't take the trade.
I respect it. It was just a fun thing I was thinking
No,
about.
I got
you guys' choice. I mean, I think both teams got, you know, very good talent, once in a while talent, but they're both in the same draft class. I didn't even know that. I just always see him sticking out. And my friend was on the phone with me while I was driving home, and he's like, "Holy crap!" He's like, "This dude's on pace for like 170 tackles. He's got 79 or something already." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I know he makes a lot of plays, but holy cow, that's just insane." Our leading tackler has 27. I was like, "We must never be on defense." I mean, if our leading tackler's got 27 tackles, we must always be on offense. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I'm going to start with my keys to victory. I'm going to read them out. If you guys have any different ones, you can add them for sure. Or we can just talk about the ones I picked and just go into detail about them if you want. So for us, I mean, I'm keeping it simple. Got to get to Rodgers. Got to continue to bring the pressure and then stop the run. And then for us, you know, also try to get a little bit of a run game with Singletary. Let him get more than 6 carries. Open up the play action pass. You know, get Diggs off of Alexander, and then, you know, we're going to light up the skies. And then simply put, for the Packers, you got to score some damn points. I mean, you can't beat the Buffalo Bills scoring 10 points, 12 points, 14 points, 17 points. So definitely got to score some points. You know, as Booger McFarland said, the team that scores more points will win. You know, that's what the Packers have to do. And then they got to make Knox and McKenzie beat them. And, obviously we know that Knox and McKenzie are reliable, but you got to be able to take Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs out of the equation if you want, a snowball's chance in hell of being able to keep up with the Buffalo Bills offense. So those are my keys of victory. If you guys have any, I know you guys got your pregame show on Sunday, and Brett, I know your pregame show is in like 5 minutes. So, I mean, if you guys got any of your own keys of victory you want to mention for both sides, or if you just want to talk about those ones, let me hear it.
Definitely. I mean, I have a couple of keys to victory that I think are beneficial for Buffalo. And I'll go into the Packers second. But for Buffalo, I think the biggest thing is the penalties. We've been committing stupid penalties that we shouldn't be committing. We're a championship caliber team. And these penalties that I'm seeing are the illegal formations, the holdings and stuff like that. We just got to be better. And we're getting up there towards, the level of the Dallas Cowboys in penalties. So we need to tone it back. I mean, I'm just saying the Cowboys are up there in penalties. We're not at that level yet, but we're getting up there. I mean, it seems like it's 7, 8 penalties a game. So, we just need to figure it out and get back to where we are and play Buffalo Bills football. So that's the biggest key for me for the Bills. And then for the Packers, it's catch the ball. I mean, plain and simple, just catch the ball. Don't worry about run after the catch. Just make it as simple as possible. Just focus on getting the ball into your hands and making plays for Rodgers.
I like it. And yeah, and it seems like we're being simple, like, catch the ball, score points. But that's things that the Packers have not been able to do this season. So, Mike, you got any more you want to add, or you want to elaborate on Brett's and my keys to victory?
I think mine are similar to yours. So for me, for the Packers, look, I don't see them dropping more than 20 points on Buffalo. The only team to have done that is the Dolphins. And I'm being generous. 20 points is going to be extremely difficult. They're going to have a defensive turnover or something to even get that. But what I'm saying is they're going to need to have a game of their life and keep Buffalo under 20 points. It's only been done once. That was the Dolphins who held us to 19. This is going to be their only chance to win the game. I think for Buffalo, get Singletary the 100 yards. We talked about that earlier. Get Cook involved and get Dawson Knox involved in the red zone. So kind of touched on all your points there. The penalty stuff, agree. That's always very, very helpful. And I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking. I mean, what when you said those penalties, are you talking about those like the corners getting holding calls or something like that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm talking about the holding calls, especially for, I get that there's some that are, necessary holds, but it just seems like it's at the wrong time. And it's usually on like a 3rd down or something like that. It's on defense that it happens. Even on offense too, I've seen a couple of holds where I'm just like, why? I mean, there shouldn't have been. Like if you look at the game last night against the Baltimore Ravens and Tampa Bay Bucks, I mean, there was a hold where Lamar Jackson was 12 yards down the field, and you saw him throw the ball, and he's just pissed off. And he's just saying, why are you holding? But it just seems like we're having those penalties sometimes, and it's not all the time, but it's just sometimes, where it's like a 3rd down where we could have converted easily, and then we get backed up, and it stalls our drive.
Fair.
Yeah, penalties hurt. I mean, penalties kill drives, man. And we've seen that affect us last year, and luckily it hasn't really killed us this year. But I mean, if you're getting close to the Dallas Cowboys and penalties, my friends that that watch the show that are boys fans know, I mean, they're furious. Like Mike McCarthy's just the most undisciplined garbage coach in the world. That's all we do is do penalties. And I mean, the thing about speaking of penalties, Connor Williams, he's not playing for the Dolphins. He led the league in penalties for the offensive line last year. And a lot of, I watch a lot of Miami podcasts. They always say, we got to move Williams to guard. Why is he playing center? He's playing center because you can't false start at center. Often, you can, but the chances of you false starting at center are very slim compared to false starting as a left guard. So that's why, because, they always complain about his high snaps. He doesn't snap well. What are we going to do? It's throwing off the rhythm. Well, you can't put him at guard because he's a penalty machine. So, penalties really kill you. So if you got a nice 50-yard gain and you hold it, you got a holding in the backfield and you're screwed. We can't be having that. You're right, Brett. 100%.
Yeah, right now I'm just looking at the stats real quick. The stats are we have 36 penalties on the year, so that's averaging 6 a game, 230 yards. These are just accepted penalties for the year. So, I mean, that's pretty high for me, especially for a championship caliber team.
100%.
So hopefully we can get it fixed. I think it's something that McDermott's going to preach is just playing disciplined football. So hopefully we can get that fixed.
100%. What are the Cowboys at now that you got that up? I'm curious.
I don't have. Let me see where the Cowboys are at. Bear with me 1 second, guys. So
that was a great stat, by the way. It doesn't feel like it's been 6 a game, but man,
I know
that's crazy. It's crazy. That is way too many.
Yeah, that Kansas City game with all those a lot of those were very ticky-tack holding calls, so that didn't help us out.
So through the season, the Dallas Cowboys have 49 for 377 yards. So
yeah, we're not. I mean, 13 and they have one more game than us. So I mean, we're not far behind us.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I mean,
definitely got to clean that up. And what better time to clean it up than Sunday Night Football?
Right, and that's just accepted numbers. I mean, that's not talking about how many they've had over the whole entire season. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, if we average another 6, we're right up there. We're at 42.
Yep, definitely got to clean that crap up. I don't like it. But I know you got a show in 10 minutes, Brett, so we'll wrap it up now. For the people watching, still tuned in, or if you're watching this, after it's already filmed live, go show some love to Nickel City Mafia and Go Bills podcast. These boys put out great content. We love our Buffalo Bills. We love football. We're not, the big time guys that, everyone sees, but, we love our Buffalo Bills and we give great takes, and especially these two, that join me tonight. It's always a pleasure working with them. Like, share, subscribe to the video, like and share, subscribe to their videos and all their content. And like I said, Brett's got going live for his pregame in about 8 minutes. So, I mean, he got warmed up coming on the show, so he's ready to go. Go show him some love. And final thoughts section, Mike, go ahead. Final thoughts. Where can they find you? Where can the people find you? What's your next video coming out? And final thoughts for the game.
Nickel City Mafia. We're going, we'll be live Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. And we do a pregame and we'll do a postgame later that night after the game. So it'll be kind of a late one for the East Coast folks. Come join us live. It's fun. We love the interaction. We're going to have a little fun. We're going to give away 2 little gift certificates, one in pregame and one in the postgame for some Buffalonians. So join us over there and let's make it a fun Sunday. And I believe we're going to be celebrating a big win. And I don't know if you give predictions, Sean. Are we giving predictions today?
Yeah. Go give a prediction. I love it.
I'm going to give a little respect to that defense. I'm going to say they keep us to 27-14 Buffalo.
All right, Brett, where can the people find you?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Brett, where are you going live? Because I want to watch it. You're going to be on Instagram, or are we going live on YouTube?
YouTube. It'll be live on YouTube tonight. So you can find the Go Bills podcast. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, as well as, I'm forgetting one, Instagram, obviously. So you can
that's where it all started. How could you forget?
That's where it all started. How can I forget it? I'm a little nervous for the show, but I'm ready to go. I'm pumped, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. As always, guys, it's been great. So, I'm ready to go, and hopefully we can celebrate a big win. And we're going to see a bunch of Bills Mafia jumping off of tables in the parking lots of all the lots this week, and it's going to be a fun night.
Oh, we will for sure. And hey, don't ever be nervous, man. You're a natural. You do a great job out here in all your videos. So, what's your score prediction?
My score prediction is going to be 28-7 Bills.
Wow,
I'll take the 3-score, game. I'm going to say 34-14, and it could even be worse. To be honest with you, it could be over at halftime, and it could be 10-7. It could be 3-0. It could be 2-0. But honestly, if you put both these teams, best game, 34-14.
I love it. Sean, I forgot to say, I want to thank you for having us on your channel. Always a lot of fun collabing with you. By the way, I saw your show last night. That was a lot of fun. You might want to tell the folks about that again, because I really enjoyed it. So good stuff. I'm looking forward to you doing that each week. You should probably tell everyone what you have going on there.
Well, I appreciate you guys, willing to come on. I always love collabing with you guys. And that's what it's all about for me with content. Is it's always nice to do it, by yourself. But when I met all these great friends doing this content and meeting you guys, and now we get to talk all the time. It's like we're hanging out, but we're not even in the same place. So I
Yeah.
personally love it, and I started a new weekly segment with Nando Talk. He's a new Miami Dolphins YouTuber. He's also a Syracuse Orange fan, even though he's from Miami. So, it's really awesome. We got to connect that way too. He's a great kid. He's not a kid, but you know what I mean? He's a great guy. And we do weekly picks for every game of the week, from the first game on Sunday to the last game that happens in the week. Well, we start Thursday. So Thursday to Monday Night Football we do. And we do a twist where we have to pick an upset, not like a spread upset, but a record upset. And, we're going to keep adding to the show and keep making it better. But check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And then, like I said, go like and share and subscribe to Go Bills Podcast and Liquid City Mafia, and to Red, White, and Bills if you haven't yet. But, we thank you guys all for tuning in. And don't forget to check out Brett. He goes live in 4 minutes. But let's get a Go Bills before we head out.
Go Bills. Let's go.
Baby. Take care, everybody.
You too, Sean. Appreciate it.
Of course, man.